What's going on, everybody? It's Mike here from Ace Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have the pleasure to have Angel FK8 Honda Civic Type R in our shop for a complete spoon sport transformation. At the end of this series, this FK8 Civic Type R will have every single part that Spoon Sport has to offer on that catalog. Just like Greg, FK8 Civic Type R Limited Edition. Before we move forward, why don't we take a quick look? Okay, so as you guys can see, the cars already have some of the spoon goodies on it, including the wheels, some of the seats, the spoilers, and a few things under the hood. But as far as right now, Brian's gonna talk to us a little bit more about some of these exterior enhancement.
Right, so no spoon vehicle is complete, well, without the spoon bumpers. And, well, they're just not regular bumpers that you paint. There's a lot of masking, there's a lot of custom work that goes into the actual physical work of the bumpers. Now, the bumpers are a very high quality fiberglass, but that does not mean they're perfect. So in this segment, in this episode, I'm gonna take you through some of the test fitting of it. Gonna show you how we need to modify some areas to get it to work properly, to get it to fit as good as possible. Now, when it comes to the front bumper, the one thing I love about this bumper is the integrated carbon fiber lip. That is one piece. Now, we'll show you later on how that gets initially masked off and it gets integrated into the paint itself. Now, for this particular customer, we're gonna change things up just a little bit. He doesn't want the normal spoon traditional lines or design, so we'll consult with him and see exactly what he wants, and I'm kind of excited about that because it's a little bit different from what we're used to. Now we're moving on to the rear bumper cover, which is over here. It's just a little bit different. The actual lip itself bolts on and is separate from the actual bumper cover. Traditionally, spoon bumpers will be painted black all in this area, but I think the customer is saying they possibly might want this area completely white. So we know exactly what to do with these bumpers themselves, and we'll take you along how to work with fiberglass. But first, we need to get this vehicle disassembled.
Guys, just a sneak peek, real quick, what we have for this build. Look at the trunk, an entire interior full of spoon parts. Okay, so while Brian working on the bumpers at the body shop, we're gonna continue with this build. Like I mentioned before, it's gonna be a complete Spoon Sport catalog on this car here. So we do have a few things that we have installed under the hood. Now with the bumper out of the way, it could be so much easier for us to work on. One of the things that we're gonna do is to replace this factory intercooler with a PRL unit. Now moving into the bay, we have a spoon radiator along with the turbos and a bunch of other things. So in the meantime, what we should do is disassemble everything, intercoolers, radiator, along with the turbos and everything else that's on the way. In the meantime, once we got everything out of the way, then we can put some of the pieces together. So with the radiator out of the way, now we got so much more space under the hood area here. Next up, I want to go ahead and remove both these intercooler piping here. Then we're gonna attack the downpipe, and then lastly, the turbocharger. downpipe out of the way. We don't have a whole lot before the turbo actually come out. We have 2 nuts, 2 bolts, and then 2 outer oil fitting. Should come right out. All right, so we got most of the item out of the way. Next up, we do have a Hondata Fuel System upgrade, and John is going to tell you guys a little bit more about it.
Hey guys, well I see you saw how hard I worked to take all this apart. No, I didn't do nothing. Mike had to handle that one. But so today we're going to be doing a Hondata Fuel System upgrade. So what the fuel system includes, I should say, is upgraded fuel injectors, which are behind and underneath this intake manifold here, a new mechanical fuel pump, and a in-tank fuel pump upgrade as well. So there's a few different parts to it, and also we are going to be doing a spoon throttle body at one point here, so that'll kind of overlap into this whole thing when we put the intake manifold back into place. So it seems pretty straightforward. Well, we're going to see what we got to take apart. I think we're going to start by removing the battery, probably the tray, this charge pipe here. This is the inlet into the throttle body, and we have a upgraded PRL model for that when it goes back together. We'll end up taking this bracket off and all the corresponding hoses and whatnot. Relieving the fuel pressure from here, replacing this fuel pump, removing the intake manifold, pulling the direct injection injectors out. We got a lot to do, so I figured the first thing we do, start taking apart what we can see.
You know, just want to really just add it out there. I think I threw it out there a few times. This is going to be a complete Spoon Sports build.
It's going to be everything that you're able to order from their website to put on the US model cars and the FK8. There are some things, some people say, oh, well, what about the hood? Well, the hood's only available on the FK7 and along with the calipers as well, from what you told me. So everything FK8 is going on this from the Spoon catalog, and I can't wait to put it on. Not just that, but other company parts as well too. So we got a whole bunch of goodies to put on here. It's definitely like, it's kind of like Gran Turismo when you just buy the upgrades, buy the upgrades, buy the upgrades.
Except we're not spending the money.
Yeah, that's the best part. This is not my money. But we got a lot of work ahead of us, so let's start taking this thing apart. I don't think we had to pull it out, but why not? Pretty interesting setup. It's like a log style manifold. Has some neat stuff built into here. I have no idea what that's for. All plastic. I guess you don't get a port of plastic manifold. All right, so we got the intake manifold out of the way. It gives us a ton of good access to the fuel rail and the injectors. We're gonna start now by removing the hard line that goes from the fuel pump to the fuel rail, because there's an upgraded one. I wouldn't necessarily call it upgraded, a new design one that fits this new pump. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that right now. We're gonna release the pressure in there, and we're gonna go ahead and start ripping this thing down. Let's see.
So fuel injector is about to come out. That is a fuel rails.
Yes,
So we just
sir.
let that hang, huh, John?
Yeah, I mean, we can pull it off right here. Let's see. This is a new kind of style connector I haven't really messed with too much. Yeah, we'll just get it out the way.
Now, as far as the injector go, it just pull out from the manifold side, or the cylinder head? Actually,
Cylinder
the
head, yeah, it's a direct injection.
Direct injection, yeah.
So what I found is easier on this. It's kind of hard because you got to twist it and pull out at the same time. They're not the easiest to get out of there.
So right now, you're just working the connector, then you would try to get the injector out of the way.
Yeah, so what happens sometimes is, since the injector tip is inside the manifold, it gets a little bit of carbon buildup on it, and it makes
Get a little tight.
It makes it a little tight, but it also, I'll show you when I pull it out. So this is the tip, and you can see the buildup on the edge. And this white piece right here, that's the compression sleeve. It's like a nylon type thing, and what that does is that makes sure none of the combustion pressures and gases get past this and leak out. So this is essential. If you're replacing injectors, you always want to replace this. And in order to install it, there's a special tool that fits over the end of this that stretches it. It looks like it's a cone in order for it to go over. Because if you try and just fit this over the tip here, you'll stretch it out to where it's too big. So there's a whole Honda tool special kit that they have for replacing these.
Hey,
But-
John, real quick, is all the V6 and or the modern direct injection injectors are typically just about the same?
Yeah, they're pretty similar. I mean, these injectors are a little different than our V6 ones. I've changed a few of those, high mileage with carbon buildup, where you can see there's a little bit of buildup there. It's a different design, but same idea. From here up, it's totally different. From here down, they're all the same. But yeah, it's pretty neat. This shoots directly into the combustion chamber onto the piston, not through an intake manifold. That's called port injection. This is direct injection. It's pretty cool. So here's our kit. That includes the upgraded fuel pump, an intake pump, a new line right here, and our injectors. And as you can see, it pretty much looks the same, especially a lot of the design here. Very similar. I believe we'll end up, maybe we swap this part over too.
The metal clip there.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the difference is going to be internal. You can see this has one of those new compression rings on it too. Very important. But yeah, I mean, we're going to end up just swapping everything over, and it's really what it is. So an injector is a valve, a solenoid, if you will. It's a solenoid that opens and closes very quickly, and it lets a certain amount of fuel out based off of how long the duration is. So that would be duty cycle or injector duration. And that's all set by the computer based off of what you want your air-fuel ratio to be. And this is going to be able to allow more fuel to come out on each pulse. allowing you to reduce the duty cycle or increase it if you need the boost. This will max out at one point where this won't. And then when you have an injector that needs more fuel, that's where you need a mechanical fuel pump that will actually produce more pressure behind the injectors. This whole entire system is more common, or I should say has more in common with a common rail diesel direct injection system. That's how the diesels were doing it for years. They have a mechanical fuel pump, and then they have lines that go over to the injectors. But like I said, it's more of a common rail setup. The system's very efficient, and it allows you to have the proper fuel injected into the cylinder at the right time. So we're gonna go ahead and continue to pull the rest of these injectors out. We'll look at some of the instructions. I mean, this thing even came with a little tool. Do I quite know what it does? Not yet, but we're gonna figure it out together.
I tell you what, John, this is one expensive kit. It's MSRP, I think, at like $2,800.
Yep, $2,800. I mean, this fuel pump alone is very expensive. Direct injection injectors are expensive. This is probably the cheapest thing in this kit. This is probably on par with a Walbro 355 fuel pump. They're all pretty standard when it comes to fuel pump upgrades, but this pump and these injectors, that's the money spot. And like you could see, even on their fuel line, they have Hondata on it, because if I had a company, I'd put my name on everything too.
I would.
I would. All right, time to install this. It's really hard. There we go. Boom. That's why they paid me the big bucks. So this came with new bolts. The factory one has Allen keys. This one has these 10mm bolts. You go ahead and get these started on it.
Jeez, just take a genius to do that one.
This is very high level quality work here, and my mental capacity has to be on point for this. So I took a little nap before we started.
Yeah.
I drank a coffee and I had a tea.
Yeah, after you finish this, I'm gonna do the QC.
Oh, yeah? Quality control, baby. All right, this is our last step on installing the mechanical fuel pump and injectors. There's a jumper harness that for the fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump, pressure sensor, I should call it. Mike's installing that right now. And all it is it's a different style plug, and that's it. It's just a quick little deal. Now, what's next, Mike?
We gotta move on to the fuel pump.
Oh, we
And a
got to go
tank.
inside.
But before,
we have to take, oh man, look at all of the stuff inside here. So once we get all of the parts out of here, then we'll go ahead and remove the back seats. That'll give us access to the fuel pump unit. We'll pull the fuel pump out, swap in the new Hondata pump, and then that part of this build is done. And then I think we'll move on to the turbo.
we'll finish up the turbo and then build our way back up to the radiator.
Oh, we gotta do the throttle body stuff. We're gonna do the throttle body.
Yeah, and then the intercooler piping. Man, we got a lot to do still.
I got a lot to do. Mike doesn't really do much of that. All right, like we just went over, everything underneath the hood is done as far as the fuel system. Last step is the intake fuel pump. Here is the pump itself, the harness that we're gonna have to pin in, and the strainer. So the first thing we gotta do is go ahead and pull the back seats in order to get to the fuel pump unit. So let's go ahead and do that.
And yes, we're able to get all the parts out of the car so we can get the fuel pump done. Later on the next episode, we're gonna show you guys every single part that we have on this table. But before that, let's finish up the fuel pump. And John is attempting to remove the rear seat. So you're gonna remove from the passenger side, then move on to the driver's side, huh?
Yeah, in order to get this one side out, you have to remove this one. It gives you access to the other side. I'll show you here in just a moment. Now I can remove this part. And that'll allow me to pull the seat out from the other side.
John, certainly you're doing a great job over here, but I couldn't help myself but to take a look at these beautiful front seats.
Oh, they're nice. I just don't want to touch them.
Oh my God.
All right, so it's time to remove the locking ring on the fuel pump. We have the special Honda tool here for it. We use these on our MDXs. It's the same thing for the Type R apparently. And this locks right into place. 1/2-inch ratchet. Boom.
Take a man to do it, huh, John?
A man with a nice tool, which I am that man. We have the unit out, we have it here on the bench. So we're gonna take a few things off of here to make it easier to remove the fuel pump. First, we're gonna start by removing. Right over here is where the fuel pump and the center unit plug in to the housing. So we're gonna pull that out. This comes out of the way pretty easy. Now it's onto the fuel pump. Fuel pump is clipped into here. We're gonna see if we have enough room to get it out of here or not. Has a couple of clips like so. Yeah, we got enough room. Okay. That's our fuel pressure regulator right there. And here's our fuel pump. Beautiful. All right, so now we have the Hondata high flow in-tank fuel pump installed the way that it is instructed in the manual here. We have our 2 O-rings, we have our new wire run, we made sure our pins are properly inserted, everything's fit the way it's supposed to, and let's go ahead and slap this thing back in the car.
Yep. With the fuel system out of the way, we're making great progress on this build, and we're gonna wrap this video up. On the next episode, we're gonna unbox every single new parts that we have for this project, along with finish up the engine bay. You don't wanna miss. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and also turn on that notification. And don't forget, follow us on our social media pages, both Facebook and Instagram at Acura Honda Classic. My name is Mike, on behalf of Ace Garage. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you guys next week.